The sky over Proxima Centauri b glowed red. The small sun hung low on the horizon. It cast long shadows across the rocky ground. Captain Su Yun checked her air filters one more time. The planet's air was safe to breathe, but it had a strange smell that took time to get used to. "Team check-in," Yun said into her comm unit. Her voice was calm but firm. 5 voices answered back. Each team member reported their status. All equipment worked well. Everyone was healthy. "Good. Let's set up camp here," Yun said, pointing to a flat area near a small stream. "We'll start our scans in the morning." Yun was proud of her team. They were the first humans to explore this far north on humanity's first colony beyond the solar system. The main settlement was 3 days' travel to the south. Most colonists stayed close to the base, but Yun's job was to map the unknown areas. Day, her second in command, walked up beside her. He was tall and thin, with quick eyes that missed nothing. "Captain, the drone scans show some odd shapes about 2 kilometers east," he said. "They look too regular to be natural." Yun raised an eyebrow. "Show me." Day held up his tablet. The screen showed a pattern of small structures arranged in a circle. They were simple but clearly made by something with intelligence. "Could be from the first wave of colonists," Yun said, but she didn't sound convinced. Han, the team's biologist, shook her head. "No humans have been this far north. The settlement records are clear on that." Yun felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cool evening air. If humans hadn't built those structures, then who or what had? "Change of plans," she said. "Day, take Han and June to check out those structures. Stay in constant contact. The rest of us will set up camp." Day nodded and gathered his small team. They checked their gear and headed east. As the sun set, the temperature dropped quickly. Min, the team's engineer, got the heating units working. Soon the camp was warm and bright. Yun checked in with Day's group every 15 minutes. So far they had found nothing dangerous. "Captain, you need to see this." Day's voice crackled over the comm an hour later. Excitement made his words come. "Fast, what is it?" Yun asked. "We're not alone on this planet." Yun reached Day's position in 20 minutes. She had left Min to watch the camp. What she saw made her stop in her tracks. A small village sat in a shallow valley. The buildings were made of a crystal-like material that caught the light of Yun's lamp and broke it into rainbow patterns. But more amazing than the buildings were the beings moving among them. They were about the size of human children, with thin limbs and large heads. Their skin seemed to glow from within, changing colors as they moved. They didn't seem to notice the humans watching them from the ridge. "What are they?" June whispered. Han adjusted her scanner. "Their biology is silicon-based, not carbon like ours. Their skin contains crystal structures that can change color. I think that's how they communicate." "Are they dangerous?" Yun asked. "They don't appear to have any weapons," Day said. "Their technology seems simple. Those are farms." He pointed to patches of strange plants growing in neat rows. Yun made her decision. "We need to make contact. Colony Command will want a full report." "The Prime Directive," Han started. "Doesn't apply." Yun cut her off. "That's for pre-space flight. Civilizations. We're all visitors on this planet. We need to know if we're stepping on someone's toes." They walked slowly down the slope toward the village. As they got closer, one of the beings noticed them. It flashed bright yellow, and a ripple of color spread through the village. The beings gathered together, facing the humans. "No sudden moves," Yun said to her team. "Han, is the translator ready?" Han nodded, holding up a device. "It can analyze their color patterns and convert them to sound waves we can understand. It might take time to build a complete language base." The aliens watched as the humans approached. They didn't run or show signs of fear. Instead, they seemed curious. One stepped forward. Its skin shifted through patterns of blue and green. The translator hummed, then produced sounds. New. Different. "From sky?" June smiled. "Yes, we are from the sky, from far away." She spoke slowly and clearly for the translator. The alien's colors changed again. "We are Lumi. You are?" "Humans," Yun said. "We come in peace." More Lumi gathered around. Their colors flashed, in complex patterns as they communicated with each other. Finally, the one in front, clearly a leader, flashed again. Humans welcome. Share light. Share knowledge. Yoon felt a wave of relief. First contact had gone well, but then the leader's colors darkened to deep purple. Warning. Night comes. Narak hunt when dark. Narak, Yoon asked. What is Narak? The Lumi leader's colors turned so dark they were almost black. Narak hunt Lumi. Hunt all, strong, fast, sharp teeth, many arms. A young Lumi pushed forward. Unlike the others who showed mostly blue and green colors, this one flashed with bold red and orange patterns. The translator struggled for a moment. I show humans Narak, from safe place. Important no enemy. Yoon looked at the young Lumi. What's your name? Kai, came the translated reply. I scout for village. I know safe paths. Yoon thought for a moment. Colony Command would want information on all intelligent species on the planet. If there were predators that hunted the Lumi, they might threaten the human settlement too. Day, you and Han go with Kai. Learn what you can about these Narak, but don't take risks. June and I will stay here and learn more about the Lumi. As Day's group left with the young Lumi scout, an older Lumi approached Yoon. Its colors were deep and calm. Come, eat, talk. Night not safe outside. Yoon nodded and followed the elder into one of the crystal buildings. Inside, the walls glowed with soft light. Other Lumi brought strange fruits and what looked like bread. How long have your people lived here? Yoon asked. The elder's colors shifted slowly. Always. Since great light gave birth to small lights. Many, many seasons. And the Narak? Where do they come from? Dark places, mountains. Hunt when dark. Smart. Make tools. Speak with sounds, not light. A sudden commotion outside interrupted them. Flashes of bright yellow light, the same color she had seen when the Lumi first spotted the humans, filled the village. Yoon rushed outside. A Lumi was pointing at the ridge where Day, Han, and Kai had gone. Its colors flashed in panic. The translator struggled to keep up, but Yoon understood enough. Narak hunting party, coming this way. 3. No, 4. Big ones. Yoon grabbed her comm unit. Day, report. There are Narak headed your way. Static answered her. Then Day's voice came through, breathless. Captain, we see them. They're massive. Like nothing on Earth. We're hidden, but... The transmission cut off. Yoon felt her heart race. Her team was in danger. The young Lumi, Kai, was in danger. And somewhere out there in the gathering darkness were creatures that called this world home long before humans arrived. She had to make a choice. Follow protocol and wait for backup, or take action now. Min, she called into her comm. Grab the containment gear and meet me at my position. Jun, stay with the Lumi. Keep the village calm. She checked her equipment. I'm going after them. As darkness fell completely over the alien world, Captain Hrun headed into the night, toward dangers unknown and a confrontation that would change the future of 3 species forever. Day pressed himself against the cold rock wall. Next to him, Han tried to control her breathing. The young Lumi, Kai, glowed a dim blue, a color that Day guessed meant fear. Stay still, Day whispered. Their vision might be based on movement. They had climbed up to a small ledge overlooking a valley. Kai had brought them here to show them the Narak, but they hadn't expected the Narak to show up so soon. I can't reach the captain, Han said, tapping her comm unit. The rocks must be blocking the signal. Kai's colors shifted to a pattern of dark purple and blue. The translator on Han's belt converted it to words. Narak hunting party, looking for food. We are food. Day pulled out his binoculars and peered down into the valley. What he saw made his blood run cold. The Narak moved. On 4 powerful legs, each was at least 3 meters tall at the shoulder. Their bodies were covered in natural armor plates that looked harder than steel. 2 more limbs extended from their upper bodies, arms ending in clawed hands that carried crude but effective spears. Their heads were massive, with jaws that could easily crush a human's skull. "They're sentient," Han whispered in awe. "Look, they're using tools, they're communicating." She was right. The Narrak made deep rumbling sounds to each other. They moved with purpose, not like animals, but like hunters with a plan. "We need to get back to the Lumi village," Day said. "The captain needs to know what we're dealing with." Kai's colors flashed. Quickly. "No go now. Narrak between us and village. Wait until they pass." But the Narrak weren't passing by. They were spreading out, moving in a pattern that Day recognized from military training. They were searching the area systematically. "I think they know we're here," Dai said. "They're hunting us specifically." Han's face went pale. "How? Did they see us?" "Smell, maybe," Day said. "We're new to this planet. We probably smell different from anything else here." A loud roar came from below. One of the Narrak had found their trail. It pointed up toward their hiding spot with one of its arm limbs. The others gathered around it, looking up. "Move." "Now," Day ordered. "Back up the path, quietly." They crept backwards, staying low. Kai led the way, his crystalline body now glowing, only faintly, trying to hide his light, Day realized. They made it around a bend in the path just as the first Narrak started to climb up toward their former hiding spot. "Run," Day said. "Head for that ridge. If we can get over it, maybe we can circle back to the village." They ran as fast as they could on the rough ground. Kai was surprisingly quick, his light body easily moving over the rocks. Han kept pace, but Day could hear her breathing hard. Behind them, roars echoed off the canyon walls. The Narrak had found their new trail. "They're too fast," Han gasped. "We can't outrun them all the way back to the village." Day knew she was right. The Narrak were built for this terrain. Humans were not. "Kai," Day said. "Is there somewhere to hide? A cave? Somewhere the Narrak can't follow?" Kai's colors shifted to yellow and green. "Yes. Small places. Narrak too big. Follow." The young Lumi changed direction, heading toward a field of massive boulders. They could hear the Narrak getting closer, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. "Captain Yun, Dao, you read me?" Day tried his comm unit again. This time it crackled to life. "Day, where are you?" Yun's voice came through, full of concern. "We're being hunted," Day said quickly. "Heading for cover. At least 3 Narrak on our trail. They're intelligent, Captain, using weapons, hunting in formation." "I'm coming to you," Yun said. "Min is with me. We've got the containment gear. Send your location." Day tapped the beacon on his wrist, sending their coordinates to Yun's device. They reached the boulder field just as the first Narrak appeared on the ridge behind them. It let out a victorious roar that made Day's spine tingle. "In here," Kai said, pointing to a narrow space between 2 huge rocks. "Humans go first." Han squeezed through the gap, followed by Day. Kai came last, his slender body easily fitting through the narrow opening. They found themselves in a maze of passages between the boulders. Some were so tight that Day had to turn sideways to get through. "Narrak too big for small spaces," Kai explained. "But they smart. They wait. They know all ways out." From outside, they heard the Narrak arrive at the boulder field. The creatures growled and roared in frustration. One tried to force its way into an opening but got stuck halfway through. "At least we're safe for now," Han said, trying to catch her breath. Day shook his head. "No. Kai's right. They'll surround this area and wait for us to come out, and we will have to come out eventually." Kai's colors pulsed slowly. "I know other way. Through caves. Long way around. Back to village." "Then that's our plan," Day decided. "Lead the way, Kai." The Lumi guided them deeper into the boulder maze. The passages gradually sloped downward, and soon they were in natural tunnels carved by ancient water flows. The air grew colder and damper. Above them, they could hear the occasional roar or heavy footstep as the Narrak patrolled the area. "Han, what do you make of them?" Day asked as they walked through a wider tunnel. Han was quiet for a moment. "They're apex predators, but they're more than that. The way they coordinate, the tools they use, they have culture, language. They're people, Day. Dangerous people, but still people. People who see us as food, Day said grimly. Maybe not just food, Han said. Did you notice the markings on their armor plates? Those weren't natural. They were deliberate patterns. Art, even. Before Day could respond, his comm unit beeped. Day, it's Yoon. We're at the boulder field. I can see the Narak. There are 4 of them now. Where are you? Underground, Day replied. In some kind of cave system. Kai says it leads back to the village. Stay there, Yoon ordered. We'll create a distraction to draw them away from your position. Captain, be careful, Day warned. These aren't just animals. They're... A loud crash from above cut him off. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling. They're trying to dig us out, Han said, fear in her voice. Kai flashed bright red. Move! Not safe here! They hurried deeper into the cave system. The tunnels branched and rejoined in confusing patterns. Soon Day had lost all sense of direction. He could only trust that Kai knew where they were going. Behind them they could hear digging and crashing sounds. The Narak were following them, breaking through the tunnel roof where it was thin. We're not going to make it, Han said, her voice tight with fear. Just then Kai stopped. His colors went completely dark. What is it? Day asked. Slowly, Kai began to glow again, but in a pattern of deep red that Day had not seen before. Wrong turn, the translator conveyed. Dead end ahead, other path blocked by cave-in, no way out. They were trapped. From outside, they heard a new sound, a deep rumbling call that seemed to shake the very air. The other Narak answered it with similar calls. What's happening? Han asked. Kai's colors pulsed with rapid changes. Hunt leader has arrived, most powerful Narak, most clever, most cruel. Day tried his comm again. Captain, we're trapped. The Narak have us cornered in the cave system. Hold on. Yoon's voice came back, determination clear in every word. We're going to use the transport sonic emitters. It might disorient them long enough for you to get out. And if it doesn't? Day asked. There was a pause. Then I'm coming, and after you, Yoon said. All of you. Above them, the ceiling began to crack as powerful limbs tore at the rock. Dust and debris rained down. And through the growing hole, Dai saw the gleaming eyes of the Narak hunt leader, cold, calculating, and fixed directly on them. The hunt was reaching its climax, and someone was not going to survive it. Kai pressed himself against the cave wall. His body glowed a dim, fearful blue. Above them, the ceiling cracked as the Narak tore at the rock. Small stones and dust fell on them. 15 minutes, Captain Yoon's voice said through Day's comm unit. We need 15 minutes to get to your position. Day looked at Han, then at Kai. They didn't have 15 minutes. We need to split up, Day said. It's our only chance. Han shook her head. That's crazy. No, listen. The Narak want Kai the most. He's their natural prey. If we create a distraction, Kai might be able to slip away. Kai's colors shifted to protest, but Day held up his hand. I'm not suggesting we sacrifice you, he told the young Lumi. But you know these caves better than we do. If you can get out, you can guide Captain Yoon back to us. More rocks fell from the ceiling. They could now see 3 sets of clawed hands tearing at the opening. Go, Day said to Kai. There must be small tunnels that only you can fit through. Kai's colors changed to a pattern of green and yellow. Yes, small path there. He pointed to a tiny opening near the floor. Too small for humans, too small for Narak. Then go, Day said. Find the captain. Bring help. Kai hesitated, his colors shifting between blue and yellow. Go, Day urged, with a final flash of colors that the translator didn't catch. Kai squeezed into the tiny tunnel and disappeared. Day turned to Han. Now for our part. He pulled out his emergency flare and light stick. When they break through, we make as much noise and light as possible. Draw their attention. Make them chase us deeper into the cave. And then what? Han asked. Day gave her a grim smile. Then we run and hide and hope the captain gets here in time. The ceiling gave way with a crash. A large chunk of rock fell to the cave floor. Through the hole, a massive Narak head pushed through. Its eyes found them immediately. It let out a roar that shook the walls. "Now!" Day shouted. He cracked the light stick and threw it at the Narak's face. The sudden bright light made the creature pull back. Day ignited the flare next, filling the cave with intense red light and thick smoke. Han took out her sample collection tool, a small device that made a high-pitched sound when activated. She turned it to maximum volume. The combination of bright lights and painful sound made the Narak roar in anger and confusion. But it didn't retreat. Instead, it forced its way through the hole, rocks and dirt falling around its massive body. "Run!" Day shouted, grabbing Han's arm. They sprinted deeper into the cave, away from the Narak and unfortunately away from the exit too. The tunnel narrowed, then opened into a larger chamber with multiple passages leading off it. Dai chose one at random and pulled Han after him. Behind them, they could hear the Narak smashing through the narrower parts of the tunnel. "It's going to catch us," Han gasped as they ran. Day knew she was right. The Narak moved faster than them, even in the confined space. Its strength let it break through barriers that would stop a human. They emerged into another chamber larger than the first. Water dripped from the ceiling, forming a small pool in the center. "There!" Han pointed to a narrow crack in the far wall. "Maybe we can squeeze through." They rushed to the crack. Han, smaller than Day, went first. She managed to get through, with some effort. "Come on," she called from the other side. Day tried to follow, but his shoulders were too broad for the narrowest part. "I can't make it," he said, backing out of the crack. "Go on, find another way around, find the captain." "I'm not leaving you," Han protested. "You have to," Day said firmly. "One of us needs to make it back." A roar from the tunnel they had just left told them the Narak was close. "Go now," Day ordered. "That's a command, scientist." With tears in her eyes, Han nodded and disappeared into the darkness beyond the crack. Day turned to face the tunnel entrance, his back to the wall. He pulled out his utility knife, a pathetic weapon against the Narak, but it was all he had. The hunt leader emerged from the tunnel. It was even larger than the others, its armor plates marked with what looked like ritual scars. It moved with frightening intelligence, scanning the chamber carefully. It saw Day and stopped. Its head tilted slightly, as if curious about this strange creature that stood its ground instead of running. "Come on then," Day said, though he knew the creature couldn't understand him. "Let's get this over with." The Narak stepped forward slowly. It carried a spear made from some kind of bone. With deliberate movements, it placed the spear on the ground. Day watched in confusion. What was it doing? The hunt leader made a low, rumbling sound. Then it raised its front limbs, showing its claws. "You want to fight hand to hand?" Day murmured. "Fine by me." He put his knife away. He wouldn't stand a chance either way. The Narak charged. Day dove to the side at the last second. The Narak crashed into the wall where he had been standing. The impact shook the entire chamber. Rolling to his feet, Day sprinted for one of the other tunnels. The Narak recovered quickly and followed, moving with surprising speed for something so large. The new tunnel sloped upward. Day pushed himself to run faster, though his lungs burned and his legs ached. He could hear the Narak right behind him. The tunnel ended abruptly at a sheer drop. Day skidded to a stop at the edge. Below was a deep ravine with a thin stream at the bottom. Too far to jump, too far to survive a fall. He turned to face the Narak as it entered the small space at the end of the tunnel. There was nowhere left to run. The hunt leader approached slowly now, as if savoring its victory. Its mouth opened, showing rows of sharp teeth. Day backed up until his heels were at the edge of the drop. "Captain," he said into his comm unit, "if you can hear me, Kai is on his way to you. Han is somewhere in the cave system. I don't think I'm going to make it." The Narak lunged forward faster than Day could react. Its powerful jaws closed around his arm. Pain shot through him, but the bite wasn't as strong as it could have been. The Narak wasn't crushing his arm. It was holding him, tasting him. Through the haze of pain, Day realized the creature was curious. It had never encountered a human before. It wanted to know what he was before it killed him. Kai moved through the tiny passages with the speed and skill born from a lifetime of evading predators. His body glowed only enough to see his way, a dim light that wouldn't travel far. He emerged from a small hole in the rocks just as Captain Yoon and Min were preparing their equipment. Kai flashed urgently, his colors bright with distress. Yoon's translator converted the patterns. Human friends trapped. Hunt leader has them. Help now. Where? Yoon demanded, checking her weapon. It was set to stun. Colony rules forbade killing native species, even in self-defense, without authorization. Kai's colors formed a complex pattern that the translator struggled with. Finally it said, "Deep caves, many paths, I show you." Min looked doubtful. "Captain, we should wait for backup. Colony Command is sending a security team." "They won't get here for hours," Yoon said. "We go now." Her comm unit crackled. "Captain." Day's voice came through, weak and strained. "If you can hear me, Kai is on his way to you. Han is somewhere in the cave system. I don't think I'm going to make it." Yoon's face hardened. "Move out, now." She turned to Kai. "Take us today, the fastest way possible." Kai led them across the rocky ground toward a different entrance to the cave system than the one Day's group had used. As they ran, they heard a distant sound that made Kai's colors fade to a fearful blue. "What was that?" Min asked. "Victory call," Kai's translator said. "Hunt leader has prey." Yoon ran faster. Han crawled through the narrow passage beyond the crack. It was completely dark and she had to feel her way forward. The stone was cold and damp under her hands. She tried not to think about Day, alone facing the Narak. She tried not to think about the chances of finding her way out of this maze of tunnels. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, she saw a faint light ahead. Moving toward it, she found herself in a small chamber. The light came from a hole in the ceiling, where the cave roof had partially collapsed. From above, she heard heavy footsteps and deep rumbling calls. More Narak. Her comm unit beeped softly. "Han, this is Yoon. Do you copy?" "Captain," Han whispered urgently. "Yes, I'm here." "Where are you?" Yoon asked. "I don't know exactly. I got separated from Day. He stayed behind to face a Narak so I could escape." There was a pause, then, "We have your signal. You're not far from our position. Stay put. We're coming to you first, then we'll find Day." "Hurry, Captain," Han pleaded. "I heard the Narak make some kind of victory call." "I heard it too," Yoon said grimly. "Don't worry. We're not giving up on him." Han huddled in the dim light from the hole above, listening to the Narak moving around outside. And she waited, hoping. They wouldn't find her before Captain Yoon arrived, hoping that somewhere in these dark tunnels Day was still alive. The Narak hunt leader held Day in its jaws. Its teeth pressed against his arm but did not break his suit or skin. Not yet. Day stayed very still. Any sudden movement might make the creature bite down harder. The hunt leader's eyes studied him. They were not the eyes of a mindless beast. They held intelligence. Curiosity. It was trying to understand what Day was. Slowly the Narak lowered Day to the ground. It did not release his arm, but the pressure lessened. With its free front limb it reached out and touched Day's helmet. Day's heart raced. This was not normal predator behavior. The Narak was examining him like a scientist with a new specimen. A low rumble came from the creature's throat. It repeated the sound several times, changing the pitch slightly each time. Day realized with a shock that it was trying to communicate with him. "I don't understand you," Day said softly. "And you don't understand me." The creature tilted its massive head, as if considering the strange sounds coming from this new prey. Then it looked up suddenly, its attention caught by something else. From somewhere in the tunnels came the sound of Han's voice, calling Day's name. The Narak's grip tightened on Day's arm. It let out a loud call that echoed through the caves. An answering call came back. Another Narak somewhere nearby. "No," Day whispered. "Han, be quiet. They'll find you." But her voice came again, closer this time. The hunt leader looked down at Day, then in the direction of Han's voice. It seemed to be making a decision. With surprising gentleness, the Narak released Day's arm. It picked up its bone spear and moved to the entrance of the small cave area. It let out another call, different from the first. Day understood. The hunt leader was calling its pack, telling them there was more prey nearby. Despite his pain and fear, Day felt a flash of anger. He had been willing to sacrifice himself to save Han and Kai. He would not let this creature hunt them now. With a deep breath, Day charged at the Narak's back. It was a foolish move. The creature was far stronger than any human, but Day had to try. The Narak turned with shocking speed. One sweep of its powerful arm sent Day flying against the rock wall. Pain exploded in his back and head as he hit the stone. He slid to the ground, his vision blurry. The hunt leader stood over him. It raised its spear. Day. Han's voice was very close now. Where are you? The Narak turned toward the sound. Run, Han, Day shouted with his remaining strength. It's a trap, run. The Narak looked down at him again. This time there was no curiosity in its eyes, only the cold focus of a predator about to finish its prey. It raised its spear higher. Captain Yoon raced through the tunnel, Kai and Min close behind her. They had found Han just minutes before, huddled in a small chamber. Day is still alive, Han had told them. I can hear him sometimes through the walls, but I can't find the way to him. Kai had studied the cave walls carefully. His body glowed with a steady yellow light as he placed his hands on the stone. This way, his colors had signaled. Feel vibrations, hear sounds, Dai and hunt leader, near. Now they followed the young Lumi through a series of twisting passages. Yoon checked her stun weapon again. It was set to maximum power, but she wasn't sure it would be enough to stop a Narak. How much further? She asked Kai. His colors flashed in response. Close. Very close, hurry. They rounded a corner and found themselves facing a solid wall of fallen rocks. A cave-in had blocked the path. No, Han cried in frustration. We're so close. I can hear him on the other side. Yoon pressed her ear to the rocks. Han was right. Faintly, she could hear Day's voice. Run, Han. It's a trap. Run. Then silence. We need to find another way around, Min said, already turning back. No time, Yoon decided. She pulled the portable sonic emitter from her pack. Stand back. I'm going to try to clear a path. Captain, that's too dangerous, Min protested. The whole tunnel could collapse. Yoon ignored him. She set the emitter to a frequency that would weaken the rock structure. It might bring down more of the ceiling, but it was Day's only chance. Everyone back, she ordered. At least 10 meters. The others retreated. Yoon activated the emitter and ran back to join them. The high-pitched sound was barely audible to human ears, but they could feel it in their teeth and bones. The rock wall shuddered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Small stones began to tumble down. Come on, Yoon whispered. Break. With a loud crack, the rock wall split. A section in the middle collapsed, creating a hole just large enough for a person to crawl through. Stay here, Yoon told the others. If the ceiling comes down, get out, that's an order. Before they could protest, she rushed forward and squeezed through the opening. She found herself in the small cave area where Day was trapped. The sight that met her eyes made her blood freeze. Day lay on the ground, barely conscious. Standing over him was the largest, most fearsome creature Yoon had ever seen. The Narak hunt leader held a spear, poised to strike. It hadn't noticed her yet. Its attention was fixed on D. Yoon raised her stun weapon. She had one shot before the creature would be on her. It had to count. Just as she was about to fire, a flash of light streaked past her. Kai had disobeyed her order and followed her through the hole. The young Lumi stood in the open, his body glowing with the brightest, most intense light Yoon had ever seen from him. It was like looking at a small sun. The Narak whirled toward this new threat. It let out a roar of surprise and rage at the blinding light. Kai's color patterns changed rapidly. The translator on Yoon's belt struggled to keep up. Here, take me. Not human." The Narak hesitated, its attention now divided between Dai and this bold Lumi that offered itself as prey. It was the opening Un needed. She adjusted her aim and fired. The stun blast hit the Narak in the side. The creature staggered but didn't fall. It turned toward Yoon, its eyes finding her in the shadows. Yoon dropped her weapon. It was useless now. The stun charge would take time to recharge. She stood tall and stepped forward into the light. "Hey," she shouted. "Over here." The Narak studied her with those intelligent eyes. It recognized her as the same kind of creature as Day. It seemed confused by her lack of fear. Yoon had worked with dangerous animals on Earth. She knew that showing fear often triggered the predator instinct. So she showed none, even though her heart hammered in her chest. "That's right," she said, taking another step forward. "I'm not afraid of you." The Narak growled, a deep sound that Yoon felt in her bones. It took a step toward her, leaving Day behind. "Captain," Day gasped from the ground. "Run." "No one else is dying today," Yoon said firmly, not taking her eyes off the Narak. The hunt leader raised itself to its full height. Standing on its hind legs, it towered over Yoon. Its armored body gleamed in the light from Kai. It opened its jaws, showing rows of sharp teeth. Yoon didn't move. She stood her ground, staring directly into the creature's eyes. For a long moment, they faced each other, human and alien predator. Then slowly, Un raised her empty hands, palms forward. "We are not your prey," she said clearly. "We are not your enemies. We are something new." The Narak watched her hands with interest. After a moment, it mimicked her gesture with its front, limbs spreading its clawed hands. Yoon almost smiled. The creature was learning, communicating. Then the rest of her team squeezed through the hole in the wall. Han and Min rushed to Day's side. The sudden movement broke the moment. The Narak roared and dropped back to all fours. It looked at the humans helping Day, then at Kai, who still glowed brightly, then back at Yoon. Yoon didn't know if it was calculating the odds of taking them all or if it was simply confused by these strange new creatures that acted like no prey it had ever encountered before. Whatever the reason, the hunt leader backed up slowly toward another tunnel entrance. It never turned, its back on them. With a final challenging growl, it disappeared into the darkness. Yoon let out the breath she had been holding. "Is Dai okay?" she asked, turning to the others. "Bruised and shaken, but no serious injuries," Han reported. The Narak could have killed him easily, but it didn't. It was studying him. "They're intelligent," Yoon said. "More than we realized. And now they know about us." Kai's glow dimmed to a softer blue. His colors shifted in a pattern the translator converted to. "Hunt. Leader will return, with more Narak. They curious now. Soon they hunt again." Un nodded grimly. "Then we need to be ready for them." She helped Min get Day to his feet. Together, they made their way back through the hole in the wall. They had survived the first encounter with the Narak. But Yoon knew this was just the beginning of a much larger challenge. Somewhere in the darkness of the caves, the hunt leader was already planning its next move. 3 days had passed since the encounter with the Narak hunt leader. Captain Yoon stood at the edge of the Lumi village watching the sunrise. The red light of Proxima Centauri turned the crystal buildings into glowing rubies. Dai approached, walking carefully. His back and arm were still sore from his encounter with the Narak. "The perimeter sensors are all in place," he reported. "If any Narak approach within 2 kilometers, we'll know." Yoon nodded. "Good. What about the communications array?" "Min has it working. We can now talk to the main settlement. Colony Command is not happy with us." Yoon smiled slightly. "I bet they're not. We broke about a dozen protocols. They've ordered us to return immediately," Day said. "They're sending a transport." "I know." Yoon turned to look at the Lumi village. The small crystalline beings moved about their morning tasks. They seemed more energetic, more hopeful than when the humans had first arrived. We can't leave them, Yoon said firmly. Not with the Narak threat still out there. Day nodded in agreement. What's the plan? Before Yoon could answer, Han approached with Kai. The young Lumi's colors glowed a bright, confident green. Captain, Han said, Kai has been explaining more about the Narak. It's fascinating. They're not just predators. They have a complex culture, language, even art. That matches what I saw, Day said. The hunt leader wasn't just trying to eat me, it was studying me, learning about me. Yoon thought for a moment. If they're that intelligent, maybe we can communicate with them, find a way to coexist. Kai's colors shifted to a pattern of blue and purple. The translator converted it. Narak only understands strength. Respect strength, fear strength. Then we'll show them our strength, Yoon decided. But not with weapons, with intelligence. She turned to her team. Han, keep working with Kai on understanding the Narak. Day, you and Min finish setting up our equipment. I'm going to contact Colony Command again, try to buy us some time. As the others moved off to their tasks, Yoon heard a low, rumbling sound from the hills to the north. She knew that sound. The Narak were calling to each other. They're coming, she murmured. By midday, the Lumi village was as ready as it could be. The humans had helped set up barriers around the perimeter. They weren't strong enough to stop a determined Narak, but they might slow them down. Yoon had also set up several of their survey drones to patrol the area. The small flying machines would give them early warning of any approach. Captain, Min called from his position at the sensor array. Movement to the north, a lot of movement. Yoon joined him and looked at the display. At least a dozen heat signatures were moving toward the village. Larger than any Lumi. Moving with purpose. Narak hunting party, Kai said, his colors darkening with fear. Biggest I ever see. Yoon made her decision quickly. Everyone to your positions. Remember the plan. The Lumi retreated to the center of the village. The 4 humans spread out along the perimeter, each carrying equipment rather than weapons. They're here. Han's voice came through the comm unit. Yoon could see them now. The Narak moved like a military unit, spread out in a formation that would let them surround the village. At their head was the hunt leader that Yoon had faced in the cave. The big predator stopped just outside the village boundary. It raised itself, up on its hind legs, and let out a challenging roar. That's my cue, Yoon said into her comm. She stepped forward, alone, to face the hunt leader. Just like in the cave, she showed no fear. She walked with confidence, stopping about 10 meters from the massive creature. The hunt leader studied her. It remembered her. Yoon was sure of it. Now, Min, Yoon said softly into her comm. Behind her, Min activated the holographic projector they had set up. A huge image appeared in the air above the village. A perfect replica of a Narak, but twice the size of any real one. The hunting party rumbled in surprise. Even the hunt leader took a step back. The holographic Narak moved as Min controlled it, mimicking the postures and gestures they had observed. It towered over the real Narak, a display of impossible strength. But the hunt leader wasn't fooled for long. It stepped forward again, challenging the illusion. It could sense something was wrong. Phase 2, Yoon ordered. Han activated another device. This one projected images of Earth onto the side of a crystal building. Cities, aircraft, spaceships, armies. The Narak watched the images with clear interest. They had never seen anything like this before. They're trying to understand what they're seeing, Day said over the comm. They grasped that these are real things, not just images. The hunt leader looked from the images back to Yoon. It made a series of deep, rumbling sounds. It's trying to communicate, Han said excitedly. I've been working on a basic translation program based on the sounds we've recorded. It's very rough, but it might help. She activated the program. The Narak sounds were translated into simple concepts. You, different. Strong? Yoon took a deep breath. Yes, she said clearly. We are different. We are strong. The translator converted her words into Narak sounds, which the speakers projected. At a volume the creatures could hear, the hunt leader tilted its head. It made more sounds. You. Not eat Lumi? Lumi pray. Un shook her head. Lumi not pray. Lumi people. Like you. Like us. This concept seemed to confuse the hunt leader. It turned to the others in its hunting party, making a series of complex sounds that the translator couldn't process. I think they're discussing what you said, Han reported. This is incredible. They're having a debate. After what seemed like a long time, the hunt leader turned back to Yoon. It made new sounds. Lumi small, weak, smart prey. Yoon thought carefully about her response. Yes, Lumi small. But small not mean prey. Humans small too. She pointed to herself. But humans strong, in different ways to demonstrate. She signaled to Min again. This time he activated one of their sonic emitters. The device sent out a focused sound wave that cracked a large boulder near the Narak hunting party. The Narak jumped back, startled. The hunt leader's eyes narrowed as it looked from the shattered rock to Yoon new sounds. Human strong. Strange. Strong. Yes, Yoon agreed. Different strong. We can share land. No need to hunt Lumi. No need to fight. The hunt leader seemed to consider this. It looked at the images still playing on the crystal wall. Scenes of human civilization. It looked at the Lumi village. Then it looked at Yoon again. Slowly, deliberately, it lowered itself to all fours. It placed its spear on the ground. This land, it communicated. Narak hunt land, many seasons. Yes, Yoon acknowledged. This your land first. We respect that. We make borders. She wasn't sure if the concept would translate, but she tried anyway. Land for Narak. Land for Lumi. Land for human, peace between. The hunt leader was silent for a long time. The other Narak waited, watching their leader. Finally, it picked up its spear and made a mark in the dirt. A line. Then it looked at Yoon. The message was clear enough. It was proposing a boundary. Yoon smiled. She walked forward, slowly and carefully, and made her own mark, extending the line. Border, she said. Peace. The hunt leader looked at her, then at the line. It made a sound that the translator interpreted as agreement. Then it turned and made a gesture to the hunting party. As one, they turned and moved away from the village, heading back toward the hills. Yoon watched them go, hardly daring to believe what had just happened. Did we just make peace with the Narak? Day asked, coming to stand beside her. I think we made a start, Yoon said. It will take time, more talks, more understanding. Kai approached, his colors bright with amazement and joy. Never before, the translator conveyed. Narak and Lumi never speak, only hunt, only hide. Humans change everything. Han smiled. That's what humans do, Kai. We change things, sometimes for the better. 3 months later, Captain Yoon stood before the colony governor and the newly arrived diplomatic team from Earth. So let me get this straight, Captain, the governor said, looking over his notes. You disobeyed direct orders, interfered with not one but 2 alien species, put your team at risk, and nearly started a war with a predator species that could have threatened the entire colony. Yes, sir, Yoon said, standing straight. All of that is true. The governor looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled slightly. And in doing so, you established first contact protocols with 2 intelligent species, negotiated a territorial agreement that has held for 3 months and opened up new possibilities for cooperation and knowledge sharing. That's also true, sir. Well, Captain, I don't know whether to promote you or court-martial you. One of the diplomats, a tall woman with a serious expression, stepped forward. If I may, Governor, what Captain Yoon demonstrated is exactly what we hope for in our explorers: courage, creativity, and compassion. The ability to see beyond our differences and find common ground. The governor nodded. I'm inclined to agree, though I would appreciate less improvisation in the future, Captain. Understood, sir, Yoon said, though she knew she would make the same choices again if faced with similar circumstances. As the meeting ended, Yoon stepped outside the colonial headquarters. Waiting for her was a small group, her team, several, Lumi including Kai, and surprisingly, 2 Narak standing at a respectful distance. Kai's colors flashed in greeting. He no longer needed the translator. In the past months, he had learned to speak basic human language. "Captain Yoon," he said, his voice musical and light. "We come to see new human ship, very exciting." Yoon smiled. "You